How's it going, YouTube? K-Bus, so Archman here. Man, I have been fucking with streaming software and GoPro and my microphone and all this shit like for hours, and I managed to make it so that nothing works for sure. Oop, I bumped into the tripod. So literally, I can't get my webcam to work. I can't get my GoPro to work with my computer. I can't get my microphone to work with all this shit. So yeah, I'm obviously gonna have to screw with it a little bit more. But so you'll have to bear with the poor sound quality, but hopefully a little bit better video quality for this video. But what's up, man? A little knife talk. So I picked these up today. Actually, these two guys. I probably shouldn't say from where, but I actually got a little bit of a discount, which you never get with Chris Reeve knives. But I know, yeah, I'm super pumped. You know, this thing is actually, I looked at them before at the shop, but this thing is pretty fucking sweet. You know, it's like the best of both worlds. It's got a little bit of fancy, but a little bit of plain at the same time. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped on it. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to just suck. It's probably the number one when I picked these up today. I was like, you know, man, that's funny. Like people ask me all like these are pretty, all things considered, over the top. It's not, they're not like much more. Like this knife is as expensive as the rest. Hey, nice. Well, it's a good time for everybody to be home, I guess. Everybody's chilling. But like this knife is more expensive than this one, and these are fuck. I think this is 575. So that'd be my most expensive knife that I currently have, which is kind of funny because you would think this bog oak jobber here would be more expensive, right? It's obviously it's fancier. It has like gold anodized accents on it and all this shit. But anyway, it kind of led me to the idea of just going like, you know, it's funny, the probably the most number one question I get, you know, after, hey man, like I know you're into knives, like what do you recommend? And I'm usually just like, dude, you don't want to fucking know. Like depending on who's asking me, I'm just like, fuck, uh, go get anything, buy anything, it's gonna be just fine. But you know, a lot of times I'm like, hey, you know, you should get a fucking paramilitary too, or you should get or whatever. And if I really think they're gonna be super into it, you know, then I'll be like, hey man, there's this company, Chris Reeve Knives, or you know, if they're really super into it, you know, I might even recommend like a Shirogorov or a Microtech, depending on just their style and who they are and what I feel like they're gonna use the knife for. But I get a lot of flack from it, you know, especially from my like actual friends in person that are just like, "Oh man, you got that fucking goofy ass gold plated knife," you know, blah blah blah. And then I use it, and they're like, "Wait, what are you doing with that?" You know, or whatever. I'm like, "Fucking cutting up this steak, or I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing." You know, it's like, "You use that shit or whatever," and it's like, it's funny, but yeah, that would probably be the number one question, or like comment, I should say, whether that comment is in the upspeak in the form of a question or what. But it's like, why do you have such a fancy fucking knife, man? And I guess honestly, my number one answer would be because fucking life's short. That'd be my number one answer. Like, what? I mean, where do you stop your level of enjoyment for knife, or for life, for knife life? They have BJ's over DLT. God damn. Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's honestly what I wanted when I bought this knife. Again, I went to the knife shop. I wanted a PJ large 31 is what I really wanted, and I would have also bought a PJ small 31 too. But this is, they only had fancy ones. They literally only had CGGs, like fucking a guy that was in there right before me. I was thinking maybe I'll buy a night sky. But he luckily bought it because that's like a $700 knife. So luckily he bought that, and I was like, ah, that's a good thing. Well, that's the shit. Those SOCOMs are the shit, man. Honestly, those are damn good knives. I had a mini SOCOM back in the day that just lasted me forever. before I traded it for something I don't even remember, a firearm maybe actually. But back in the day when you could do that shit in Texas. Oh, by the way, I'm doing just a little bit of tea this evening, so no beers tonight. We're kicking it old school with the tea and coffee. But yeah, so like, people, why would you carry such a fancy knife? And yeah, that's my number one thing. Is just like, well, fuck, man, you tell me why not? Oh, because I'll lose it. I mean, that's like the biggest thing. People are like, why do you wear expensive sunglasses or whatever? I just lose my sunglasses. It's like, well, fucking don't do that. Like, there's that rule of like glasses that's like, what do they say? On your face or in the case, and I'm not that strict with it, but I'm definitely like on your face, or you fucking know where they are. You put them in a, you know, I wear a pearl snaps all the time, and I keep it in my shirt pocket facing towards me so the pearl snap can't scratch a lens or whatever. But I'm very particular with the way what I do with my shit, and so that's always my thing. It's like, don't don't lose it, like that's no good. You can't be like, I can't have nice things because I'm such a fuck up, or whatever. It's like, well, that's bullshit. Um, but and secondly, I've honestly through my life of, and I probably said this before, but through my life of, man, I'm gonna have to, if I keep this one as a user, that you can see this guy that's really high up, the way this is bent up. So that's something that I would definitely change. Take the clip off and flip it around. But shit, no, I forgot what I was gonna say. Basically, yeah, I just think life is too short, man. Like, if you gotta, not only do you have to, I think, does a fella have to enjoy life, but you gotta figure out what it is about life that you enjoy by, doing different things and experimenting. And for God's sakes, at the end of the day, I mean, so this is a 400 and 475. I think that's a 475. 425. Fuck, I don't remember. Not cheap knife though. And at the end of the day, worst case scenario, you damage or lose this thing. It still is not like a crazy recreational expense. I don't think. I mean, it's like, if you, especially like if you have kids or if you're used to. Yeah, man, I fucking take that thing. Honestly, you can even just like wrap it. You don't even have to take it off with a knife. Um, you can just like wrap it with masking tape and literally just take something else and press it down. Take a quarter or something and push it on there so it doesn't create like such a hot spot on your thumb. Literally just mask it all up, put a quarter over it, and just push it down. It'll go down. This titanium isn't that super stiff. You can bend it. I always remove them and tape them up and use two pliers and do it. And I might even have to like reinstall it and uninstall it and reinstall it until I get it right. But that's worth it, screwing with it. But one thing I really wanted to say is like, I really honestly feel like my favorite knives, and it doesn't even matter. You're gonna get shit. Is the PJs. My favorites are the PJs, I would say, and I do really like this one. But you get like the best of both worlds with the micarta inlays because you get the blasted, very working friendly knife. But there's just something about, for me, the just the feel of the cold raw titanium slab that I just really hits home with me, and that goes across the board, even like with the Incosis or Sabenzas, any of them. But I didn't really want to completely just talk about Chris Reeve knives. Chris Reeve knives are just my shit. They really hit home for me because they're in a place where the Chris Reeves are just in a place where they're not stupid expensive. You're not talking about a fucking $1,200, $1,000, $900, Shiro, or like a fucking Curtis. Oh, sorry, bumped the tripod. Or just you name it. There's so many of these knife companies that are just popping up left and right that come right out of the gate and are like, check out my shit that I made, $800, and people are just like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be the first one, and I'm gonna have this shit or whatever, and it's crazy. So like, you get really value with the Chris Reeve knives, and so like, those of us, everybody's with the in-laws. I actually had a buddy just who wanted to come visit this weekend. He was like, dude, I'm just gonna use it as an excuse and say we haven't seen each other in a long time. I just can't stand my in-laws, whatever. But Levis, if you're watching this, buddy, cheers. Should have come over, but he didn't. Woohoo! Nothing beats the PJs. Yeah. So this would be one of the only computer graphics that I personally would ever consider getting, just because I've owned other computer graphics. I've owned a few different ones back in the day, from the Uniques to the ones with the American flags on them, all that stuff. I've had lots of other wood inlays. I just got these because I wanted to swing for the fences and get something that I really liked. This knife shop also has, like I mentioned, Curtis and Medford's. I really tried to talk myself into that. I was like, come on, man, just fucking, but like, I just couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't do it. I don't see the value in it. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty sensitive to like the nuances of like how they're machined, where they're carefully contoured, where they're left, like where things are finished, where things are left unfinished or overly finished, or all that stuff. And Chris Reeve just nails it, and for that point too, like I think Spyderco really nails it. I was watching somebody I'm very fond of on YouTube who's talking about how they don't think that Spyderco knives offer the value that companies like Benchmade and Kershaw do. And I'm just like, man, but there are little things on them that, just little areas where, a lot of people just wouldn't notice that I see on some of these other knife companies, especially Benchmade, that they just fucking drop the ball, and like where Spyderco nails it. Like you can tell that it comes out of the gate off the machines. They assemble that thing and click, it goes right together, and it's just, I think they've got it nailed. But yeah, so Chris Reeve Knives offers, in my opinion, a value in the higher end knives, and that's across the board. I think you get more value, obviously, with like the PJs. I think you get more value, for me personally, with the micartas and the wood. The thing is though, when the wood inlays or the Mnundis or whatever, when they really get used up and they're super scratched, they actually look pretty good. Like if it's really has like gouges in it and all that kind of stuff, they look pretty sexy. It's just when you have just a couple of little hairline things, you have a little piece of sand embedded in the old dick beaters here, and you scrape it across there and you get these ugly little fine scratches on there, that it's just like, oh, son of a bitch, and it looks bad. And it's not until you really get, if you were to make this into like just a total balls out user, which you don't see a lot. Like I've mentioned before, I had a buddy who, just a regular welder guy, like definitely not at all fancy. And we were doing a project together. We're actually doing an art project installation together. And I saw that he was using this really small, fine William Henry, like with gems in it and, Damascus blade and all this shit. And it was like prying on a screw. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you realize that's like $1,000 knife? And he's like, oh yeah. Like a rich buddy of mine gave this to me, and he told me it was really fancy, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, it's Damascus steel and all this," and I was like, "Oh, I just use it or whatever." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And I looked at it closer, and like, it was missing a clip screw, and the clip was all dangly and bent and fucked up, and like, so there's those people, and they're and there's plenty of them. I'm borderline one of them, I mean, I try not to do the dumbest things with my knives, like so when I Oh, I remember what I was getting at before, and this is kind of a good segue here. One of the most valuable lessons that I personally have learned carrying a fancy knife is to, take a second and think twice about what, you're doing with your tool, and, think, hey, is there a better tool for this job? And, a lot of times if it's not straight up just cutting something relative, just cutting something that's absolutely not going to damage your blade. You could think of a million different things that will not damage your blade if you cut them, unless you slip or whatever. But and there's almost always a better tool for the job, even if it is just your fingers, or like I've said before, look around for a minute. You can find a little chunk of a rusty nail or something to do a little project with, or whatever it is. But just like the gift of like learning improvisation, as if you didn't have the knife, is just as important as having the knife, because you might just feel helpless without even just being like, oh, I have this tool, and then, oh wait, it might not be the best idea to use this very nice tool for the task that I'm thinking of. Maybe you're considering tapping a nail in, or using it as a screwdriver, or whatever it is. But you might think twice if you're carrying a $500 knife, and then also just get the task done in a smarter, better way. Where if you did have your $100 knife, or your $75 knife, or whatever, your Benchmade or whatever, you might even just fucking just destroy your decent knife by doing dumb things with it because you don't respect it. So, but uh, just a thought. But that's something I've learned. Because I went straight from carrying a Columbia River knife to carrying a Sabenza, because I literally was like, I always knew Benchmade was a great knife company or whatever in my very early 20s. And when the internet was very young, before YouTube, before any kind of videos, I researched on blade forums what's the best Benchmade. I want, what, God damn it, I've saved up $200. This is in the year 2000 or 1999, and goddamn, I'm gonna get the fucking best Benchmade. I should be able to do that for $200. And then I found out this thing, the Sabenza, this Chris Reeve knives, and you got to get this Sabenza if you really want a really great knife. You should try Sabenza. And this is back when there was nothing that compared with it. Maybe like a handful of folding knife makers. This is back in the day when people were still using all kinds of pinned construction, and it was, just not what it is today. Your most modern knife would have been at the time, uh, maybe like a Griptilian or something like that. But anyway, I digress. But I went, fuck, man. You know what? I, I'm gonna trust the advice of these dickheads on blade forums or whatever, and I'm gonna buy a fucking Sabenza. And so I did, and honestly, I've never looked back. I they've come and gone. Of course, that was back in the day of the regulars and the classics and all that kind of stuff. Um, I like to stay contemporary. I'm the kind of guy who, I do believe that nostalgia is toxic, for the most part. If you look at the good old days as being something other than fucking today and tomorrow, then you've given up, right? Or something. I, I try to stick with the times. I try not to hold on to the old shit. I try to buy, sell, and trade, um, and learn. Fuck, man, definitely learn. As a matter of fact, shit, today I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna learn about S45VN and figure out if I'm gonna fucking like S45VN or not. And I learned that it actually is gonna have a property that I'm gonna appreciate, and that is that it's gonna offer a little bit of corrosion resistance. I think with the slight loss of toughness. So, but again, I really do my best to not use my knives for too stupid of things. I have a pretty good gauge on what's gonna fuck knives up and what's not. Um, some of you guys may know or not, but I just went on an elk hunting trip, and I chose my blade for my EDC for my 5 days out elk hunting to be my Impinda, and mostly food prep and stuff, but it did see quite a bit of just fucking sitting there whittling and screwing around, and man, this thing just really crushed it. And again, this would qualify, dude. Man, I feel like S45VN is going to be a worthwhile a worthwhile trade-off to S35V, and I think all the fucking just gay boy fucking steel snob fuckers are gonna be happy with it. And I say that in a loving way because I just don't give a shit. But like I essentially I don't know. I feel like if it's going to trade off anything off away from the magic, in my opinion, that S35VN really is, then it's not going to be worth it. So I like if you, it's like, because S35VN is just bananas corrosion resistant in my findings, and my findings have been pretty fucking strenuous. Like I have snorkeled. I was a snorkel guide in the Virgin Islands for 6 months in 2015 and 16, and I swam every single fucking day with a pocket knife that you're not supposed to be, and that's very salty water in the Caribbean. So I swam every single day with a Hinder that was a CTS 204P. No, it was X. Fuck, I don't remember what it was. I think no, it's 20 CV. Yeah, the Impinda. It's smoothed out. I've been carrying the shit out of this knife. I've been making myself carry this knife because I really do like a lot of the things about it. Anyway, I snorkeled the fuck out of a S35VN in salt water, and it did. I mean, just crushed it, like really unbelievable. And S45VN is reported to be more corrosion resistant, so that's good. But I was also cracking coconuts and using the fuck out of the knives too. So hopefully they don't give up too much toughness, which I think that it might be slightly more of a brittle steel. I could be wrong. Definitely do not quote me on that. I'm only barely scratching the surface with learning about S45VN. I'm I'm just so happy with S35VN that I'm kind of like, if it's not fixed, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But you got you got those people who just only want M390 and only want S90V because they don't actually really use and sharpen their knives. That's the thing, is like somebody was posting on the Chris Reeve Facebook group the other day saying something like, who do you pay to sharpen your knives? And I just was like, I mean, I try not to say dickhead things, but I come off as an asshole all the time just because I'm very matter of fact. But, I was just like, dude, you can learn to sharpen it now or you can learn to sharpen it later. But either way, you need to learn to sharpen that knife, like that's just all there is to it. Bite the fucking bullet, suck it up, and sharpen that fucking thing. I remember when I learned to sharpen knives, I definitely when I learned to really sit down and sharpen knives was when I had my first small Sabenza. And I didn't learn on my small Sabenza because I was like, it was all I could afford. It was the fucking pinnacle, it was the grail. So I learned on a Swiss Army knife. And I fucking nailed it eventually. And then I was like, I fucking know I can sharpen my small Sabenza. So I didn't leave it up to any kind of chance or question. I just was like, I'm gonna fucking nail it, and I did. But I also really wanted it, and I also was a knife user. At that time I was working at a greenhouse in Austin, Texas, and using the shit out of a knife. So every day, all day. But yeah, back to the fancy knife topic. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing with other steels, but just for somebody to be like, to make a blanket statement, like as far as like S35VN is, fucking dated or something like that, it's like, whoa, that's like saying 1095 is dated or something like that. Like, that is a fucking crazy thing to say, like it just isn't. You want something new and you want an excuse to buy something new and shiny, like, or some, I don't know what exactly that is. I personally don't give a fuck. Like every single knife I could buy from here on out, period, for the rest of my life could be S35VN. Don't give a fuck unless it's a fixed blade. Honestly, like for me, a fixed blade, I'm looking for toughness. I'm looking for a fucking reason for it to be a fixed blade, and part of that would be like, I want very, very, very tough steel. So CPM 3V, that's what I want on my fixed blade knives. across the board. Like I'm almost not even interested in something if it's not 3V. But that's just me, you know. I mean, I could see how a person would be like, I want an LC200N fixed blade knife or whatever, or I want a fucking, I have a, you know, an SE3 in 1095 and I really want to try an SE3 in uh, S35VN or whatever it is that the stainless one is. I think there's a 440C one. I mean, this is a hobby at the end of the day. I mean, we're playing with these things, you know, because this is not necessary, you know, like a, a person can go their whole fucking life with a Spyderco Delica, you know, for sure. 80/20, I'll have to check that out. You know, there's, and fucking, of course, you know, Strider just came out with, or fucking Monkey Edge just came out with some um, SNGs in 3V that look baller, man, and they fucking sold out in 10 seconds, of course. Those motherfuckers dropped that shit in like the middle of the day yesterday on Thanksgiving too. I was like, fuck you, man. Like, you know, I really would love one of those knives, and they were a pretty good price too, like $500, 525. And but I was just like, out of principle, I'm not even gonna fucking open your website on Thanksgiving, you bitches, man. Like, come on. That was ridiculous. Imagine all the fucking assholes who fucking bought those knives. Not to say that you are an asshole if you bought that knife, but when you were in the bathroom for fucking an hour on Thanksgiving, your whole family thought you were jacking off in there. I guarantee it. You're like, I bought a fucking knife. You prick. That's so funny. Um, yeah, that Tonto was the shit, man. Yeah, I mean, that was a beautiful knife. But I'm even an asshole, and I was like, I'm not fucking doing that shit, man. But I fucking wanted it. That's for sure. I definitely wanted it. But yeah, I think most people who are gonna watch this video are like me. They're just like, yeah, I fucking know. I know why I carry a fancy knife, you know, and there's a fucking million reasons, man. Um, Quality control, like an S35VN, you know, for God's sakes, hopefully, if you're paying 500 some odd dollars or whatever for a knife, the S35VN should be, dude. The Chris Reeve Tontos are the shit. The place where I was today had two 21s. I almost bought those. I was like, maybe I should get 221 fucking Tontos. But 21s I think are collector's items now, and I'm not a fucking collector, so I'm not gonna buy 21s. But I have some 21s. We'll see what happens with them. Probably not gonna stick around too long. But the S35VN in this knife theoretically should be more carefully dealt with. Like, so the heat treat protocols, the you know, heating, quenching, all that shit, grinding, all that stuff should be theoretically a little bit nicer with an expensive knife. And goddamn, you better hope that the fucking warranty will back that shit up too. I personally, you guys have seen, if you watch my videos, dealt with Chris Reeve knives warranty a few times, and I cannot complain. I sure would like to complain that I've had to use it a few times, but the fact that they fucking get the product, they fucking deal with it, and they get it back to you quickly, that says a lot. So I would say, in that case, the proof is in the pudding for me, and it's there, you know. So that's just where it is. Um, But yeah, that's how I feel about these things, and I'm, you know, I mean, you guys can tell, like, I'm pretty passionate about it too. Like I just I'm not gonna carry. Let's see if I can find something. I'm just not gonna carry, you know, this. This is a fucking great knife too. Like an Endura is a fantastic knife. As a matter of fact, I really like the Endura, the Spyderco Endura. But this to me is an extreme beater knife. This knife right here is, I actually just bought it just to try an Endura and play around with it because I really love my Pacific Salt, my original Pacific Salt. Are there $100 pencils, like wooden pencils? Maybe there are. I'm in the dark. But I would absolutely buy a $100 mechanical pencil. Well, the Seb 25s are the shit. The only thing about the Sebenza 25, I actually had one of the first Sebenza 25, probably did the first YouTube video on it. It's going to be a dog shit, ultra grainy video. But I don't like the clip position on the Sebenza 25. On the 25s, do I have mine, Kosi? On the 25s, the clip, as you know, went straight. And man, it just like, it goes like right above this finger groove here. So I didn't have my 25 for very long, just because of that. But I would recommend, if you like the 25, just the change of the clip position is worth picking up an Nkosi. Hold on to the 25 though, because I suspect that that will become a collector's item. It already is a collector's item, but at some point that's going to be a valuable knife. But my favorite's the Sebenza. And I mean, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, you know, I am a fucking moron asshole. Like, so most of my friends, all of them, wouldn't even dream of buying a Delica. They're like, what kind of fucking asshole is going to pay $80 for a plastic knife or whatever that is, and whatever these are. They would consider this like the knife of their lifetime. Quick Crete stacks. Definitely. Absolutely. I try not to do too much concrete work. That's why that's why I don't have too many concrete tools, because I'm a fucking tool slut. If you buy concrete tools, then you try to use them. So that's why I don't have them. Yeah. I mean, this knife is the shit. This knife, honestly, it lives for the most part on my tool bags. I just don't have it on my tool bags right now because I am trying to use the utility knife the most, and also using my whatever my EDC is with the utility knife. So this kind of was superfluous. So I'm trying to go like ultra light with my tool bags. Also, I'm doing it, guys. Like, I've been researching. I'm getting the machine. I'm getting a fucking $60,000 Haas milling machine is what I'm going for. So it is definitely happening. Like, I've got the funds secured. I just don't have a place to put it yet because it's a big ass machine and it doesn't fit in my garage. But no, I'm getting the fucking machine. So I'm gonna start making some shit here pretty soon, which actually has been my dream since I was 18. Was the machine things. So I'm actually pretty excited about it. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the fucking Spyderco. There's nothing wrong with any knife. But at some point, I don't know. I just see my time as valuable. My space I see as valuable. So like, what is immediately within my time and space? Nice. What is immediately within my time and space, like in my immediate surroundings, I want that to be fucking like good shit, you know? So like, just across the board, whether that's the clothing I'm wearing, the shoes I'm wearing, the fucking socks, you know, like anything that's in my pockets. So I just want my time to be valuable, and I want to treat it valuable. Oh, I will definitely do it. I will definitely be I'm probably going to actually start a completely new YouTube video for it, a new Instagram and everything, of course. But yeah, because it's gonna be the real deal, man. I'm already frustrated, and I'm just like very barely learning about it. But yeah, I should be able to secure enough work with my carpentry work to be able to make ends meet while I take the journey of becoming a machinist, which is going to be like 3 days of machining and 3 days of concrete work. Cold steel SR1. I've never had a cold steel. I've always I'm just I'm so hell bent over the U.S. made thing that I'm just like I just can't do it. I just can't. But I know they're good. I played with lots of cold steels, and I'm always like, fuck, man, this thing's actually pretty nice, you know. Taiwan, fuck, man, they make great shit. China makes great shit now. I got no issues with like quality of basically anything. I usually can break it down and understand it myself. it's when you got a great expense like the Impinda, my whole fucking Impinda thing. It's when I'm like paying big bucks and they sell it as like, hey, this is the shit right here, son. That's why you're paying the money. This is the fucking whatever. And then it doesn't deliver. Then I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. But when I look at like, you know, whatever Endura costs, $90 or something like that, and I, I, I can tell what's great and what's not great. That is my number one thing. That is absolutely my number one thing. To, I mean, to, the next. It's funny. I've been trying to mentor with him over DMs and stuff, and he's fucking awesome. Like as a matter of fact, I've been doing a little bit of like just like Q&A with a lot of the machinists. You guys know all of them too, I'm sure. And dude, I'm trying not to be a fucking bother, but like the advice that I've gotten has been fan fucking tastic. Um, and to be honest, I'm actually gonna have a way nicer machine than Snex, or however you say it, his name. He's rocking a Tormach, which is what I was gonna get, but I applied for a little bit more money, and my wife and I we talked about it, and so I got a really nice machine. But um, totally, I remember when my buddy bought a Delica when I was in the '90s. Um, so I'm 43, so. Yeah, in the '90s, my buddy bought a Delica, and I remember like that. It was just this space-aged, like plastic knife, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's really really high quality. This is you can do all this. It's super sharp and blah blah." Blah. And I remember being blown away by that fucking Delica. And then shortly after that, Emerson sold his design to Benchmade, and they started, you know, with that Benchmade CQC7 or whatever. And it was like, "Oh my God, look at this crazy shit." Good times. As far as like the Sebenzas go, you know, it's funny because if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, as a purist, you know, like, oh, no, 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 dude. You don't want a double lug Sebenza. Because I actually, one of my main EDCs back in the day was a large, regular double lug Sebenza. And for some reason with the regular, it snagged on my pocket all the time, right? Because when you're taking a knife out of your pocket, the pocket clips out here, you slide the knife here, and it would snag on that fucking thumb lug all the time with the large regular. So I was really anti double lugs on Sebenzas for a long time until just using the Incosis and really, really liking that. So I got double lugs on this one, and man, I feel like at this point, like I'm like, yep, every Sebenza should be double lug. Just being able, just having the luxury of the little Spidey flick or whatever you want to call it, the offside middle finger flick, is a, if one thing, it's fun, and two, if you damage your thumb, if you hurt your thumb, it's nice to be able to uh, have an auxiliary opening method. Not that any of us damage our thumbs, but yeah. So I really like the Reeves, and I really like the base model like Shiros, and I really like the like the Hinders, the Striders, Protex, like any of these knives that are just like your average Joe would be like, you're nuts to spend that money on it. But at the same time, like those of us who are like part of the EDC community and part of just the whole whatever this is, you know, like we know what the value is and where the value is, you know, and for me, typically that value is, it lies in like the mid range, maybe even in the lower end. For something like I'm talking about value, like for a user, you know, like because I'm a knife user. These two knives, we'll see if or how they get used. I bought these guys because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did actually get a little bit of a discount on them. So I was like, it was actually like a buy one, get a discount on the second one. Is Strider still a company? So Mick Strider does still make knives. I think he sells them on his Instagram, but it's the, you know, it's the fucking, it's the way all this shit is, you know. They make 10 and they sell them in 3 seconds. and probably sold 5 of them to their buddies before the 10 actually even went up. So like, who knows how that shit works out. But no, he still makes knives, and he's actually, I mean, he's not totally price gouging, because I mean, fuck man, if you look at a concealed carry, like a SNG CC that was made in 2010 or something like that, those fuckers are selling for $1,000 now. And what this asshole had fucking 4 of those things and sold them all when Strider went out of business, because I was like, I don't have collectors, I'm a user, because I'm a fucking moron. But at the same time, I wouldn't have done anything else. But yeah, no, if you really try and you really want, and there's a Strider group on Facebook and all that shit, so you can get on the Facebook group, and most people are selling their fucking beat up Striders for, you know, SNGs for $800. But like occasionally you'll run across somebody selling it for like 500. Dude, that was probably like 2008, 2009, huh? And it sucks too, because the SNG is one of the greats, man. I mean, that is a fucking great knife. It's tragic that is like so hard to get a hold of now. But dude, you know, I mean, this hobby's getting nuts anyway, because like it's hard to find the Sabenza you want. Like if you like are like, you know what? Because there's so many variations on it. But let's just pull one out of the fucking thin air, like super simple. Uh, uh, a large plane fucking 31, single lug, regular large plane 31. Go try to find one of those. You can't. You can't get them, because like this hobby is becoming extremely fucking popular, and maybe people are just bored or what, but like the shit is selling fucking fast, man. Um, oh, you know they are. Of course they are. The Chinese are copying everything. That's, yeah, I don't know, man. You know, here's the thing about the whole China thing is like, they don't fucking like us because we're pricks, man. The United States is a bunch of fucking bully assholes. Like, and it sucks, man, because like, I'm a pretty social person, and I don't know exactly where I fucking lie on this, but I've talked to really smart people on both sides, and a lot. you, you don't get ahead by doing favors fucking politically, and like the that's just the way it's always been, as far as I can tell. If you look in the history books and you do fucking go down a YouTube fucking wormhole or whatever, you're gonna find that like it's the motherfuckers who come out on top, and it's really blows. I fucking don't like that at all. I just wish we could all be happy and fucking peaceful and cool, be fucking cool to one another. But god damn it, it's just not the fucking way it is, man. And like, the United States has been a bunch of motherfuckers for a long time now, and like, well, not even a long time, just a few generations, right? But so we're known throughout the fucking world as cocksuckers, you know, and it's not untrue. It's it's just not untrue. It might be very accurate. And they got no reason to fucking give a shit about us, man. As a matter of fact, they have more reason to slowly poison us by fucking putting weird shit in our products that they make for us than they do to do us right. And I don't fucking blame them. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to submit myself to that. So I'm trying to keep my fucking nose clean. Bark River fixed blade. I've never had a Bark River fixed blade. I don't love the traditional stuff. If I was to get a Bark River, it would be something wild like jade fucking, you know, 3V steel for sure, like a jade G10 handle with tubular flared handle pins, something like that. I just don't like those solid handle pins, and I really don't like the old school style of knife making where I don't know the term of it, but they essentially assemble the entire knife and then they buff everything down. Um, to make it all symmetrical. I don't really like that. I like when everything's machined, they fucking assemble it, and it's perfect. That's just kind of what I like. Stock removal in every way. Do I have my Niela? I don't have my Niela just because I found way better knives. You know, that's the cut and dry of it. S35VN I think is a fantastic fucking fixed blade knife steel, but I'm sure, I know that you can do better. I really love S35VN for folding knives because I'm not going to press it as hard into the necessary toughness that I might with a fixed blade knife. And I like to have fun with my knives. So like if I have my fixed blades are all 3V right now, CPM 3V. And I think I only have, no, that's not true. I actually have a, what's this fucker? This is funny. I got this little baby, which was a birthday gift from my wife. So I can't even sell it. But this is M390, which is fine. It's a fun little knife. And I'm pretty damn good at sharpening. I have diamond stones and fucking all that stuff. But go-to fixed blade, easily Carruthers EDC. The Carruthers EDC 2, I think is the one that I have. It's the shit. Let me see if I can grab it. Stand by. Oh. I still have my elk shit packed because I'm planning on doing an elk packing video. This is a Carruthers EDC 3. This is the knife. Carruthers blades. Carruthers performance knives is what everyone should aspire to get for their fixed blade knives. That and still, in my opinion, survive knives. Get yourself a GSO. Get a nice GSO. Those are fucking baller. It sucks because the wait list and all that shit with the survives, but like once you have it in your hands, you'll see. You'll know. They're the shit. They might not have the world's best business practices, but they're fucking new in the game. They're just figuring this shit out. So, but Carruthers, you can't go wrong. I mean, shit, if you go on right now, Fort Henry Custom Knives, they're a Carruthers knife dealer, and they fucking miraculously had some in stock the other day when I checked it. I was like, oh, fuck. But I knew I was going to be getting some Sabenzas. But isn't it the best handle? Yeah, dude. This is a burlap micarta. So isn't that beautiful? This one's a little bit unique, and I bought this secondhand, not used, but secondhand. Dude, the GSOs are the shit. I have a 4.7. I think it's actually an eye shot. Yeah, I can actually see it over there. I have a 4.7 that I just fucking love, man. The the new style, the Gen 2s or whatever. But this is, man, all things considered, this is probably the best goddamn knife you can buy. 3¼ inches. I personally would prefer to have a little bit less belly, but I've found it to be utilitarian and fun. The handle's the shit though. See if I can try to get the shadows away. Got a sweet Atwood bead on there. That's my favorite bead. I only use the Sharp Maker and flat stones, but I always caveat that with buy the diamond rods for the Sharp Maker. The diamond rods are the shit. I'm grabbing my my GSO. This is the 4.7, and this thing's the shit. I have put this thing through the ringer. I mean, I literally have just beat the fuck out of this thing. I've thrown it at all kinds of things. I've used it for all kinds of food prep. I've let my fucking idiot friends use it for all kinds of dumb things. I've sharpened it on fucking rocks. And these are great knives. Not necessarily the sexiest knife, right? I mean, the Carruthers are obviously more sexy, but this thing is super utilitarian. Very thick. I don't even know what this is. Definitely more over 1/8 of an inch, but 5/32, something like that. But actually pretty goddamn thin behind the edge. When you really get out there and look at it, you really can't tell, but it's surprisingly thin behind the edge. I mean, these knives are fantastic. The GSO, again, you could call this a fancy knife, so I guess it's kind of relevant for this video. I mean, these fuckers are $300 or something like that, which I think is very expensive for a fixed blade knife. Especially given that, like, you can get a really nice fucking Essie for 150, you know, maybe even 120 bucks. Actually, fuck. Medford, I looked at a bunch of Medfords today too to try to convince myself to pick one up, and they are just fucking boat anchors, man. I mean, they're just, I'm like, I get it. Somebody put their heart and soul into this fucking knife, man, but like, it's not actually a cutting tool. Like, they're just collector's items. I pity the fool who fucking uses a goddamn Medford, um, unless it's something I don't know of, and is actually trying to, you know, slice anything with it or do anything like with any kind of finesse or skill, cutting wise. Not that I do anything with fucking finesse or skill cutting wise. I just cut things. But the Impinda, the Impinda's really come around on me. Honestly, it's one thing I mentioned to somebody, I think on the Chris Reeve Facebook group, is just how damn comfortable this thing is in hand. It is the ugliest knife ever, but man, it is such a comfortable knife in hand, especially like versus like a PJ21 small, or obviously PJ31 small. It's not like this knife is uncomfortable, but when you get to like just that everything's rounded is essentially the biggest part of it. Like you don't have, it's not like this is sharp here, but it's there, you know, and it's like you will notice that if you use this knife for prolonged periods of time. Somebody was asking something like, is the Impinda more comfortable than like a Sabenza? And it's, you know, we all know this, like the large and small Sabenzas, they're the same shape, but they're different. Just the fact that it's a different size makes a big difference, you know, because like now suddenly this isn't playing such a major role, because instead of being here, it's much farther back on your hand. So you're not actually even doing anything with it. Because when you're cutting, you know, you're triangulating off of where you're cutting here and then down here. So you're not actually putting much force on here unless you're just really white knuckle cutting and really getting in there. Um, but yeah. Um, so, long story short, long story long, with the fucking fancy knives, you know, like for me, it's just like, where's the value? What are you getting for the money? What are you willing to do with it? What are we learning by carrying, you know, a fancy knife? And fuck, man, just like what makes you happy? How old are you? What do you, you know, like what? I don't know. It's just there's a lot of variables, but in the end, life's short. You know, a lot of people are willing to spend. I don't have it on me right now, but I have an Ultratech. I have a couple videos on the Ultratech. Value is in the eye of the beholder, that's for sure. And you have a lot of buddies that, I don't know what I think is ugly about it, to be honest. I guess I just don't like I don't know. I guess I just don't like that it's like, it looks to me, it looks like a 1992 Gerber to me, is what it is about it. And I guess I just wish it looked more modern. But the thing is, it does work. You know, it definitely does work. But I just feel like it's a modern slip joint, and I really just wish it had more of a modern flair. Like if you look at like the zero tolerance, what is it, the 0226 or whatever it is? Right. No, exactly. Like they say, Spydercos are designed in the dark. Right. How ugly is this thing, dude? Obviously, that is an ugly knife, especially when you are next to like a Sabenza, which is just sexy as can be, right? Or I think, because Sabenzas are like, they're modern, but they're classy and they're classic and everything, you know? 92 Gerber. With fucking interchangeable blades, man. You can put a hook on there, or a fucking serrated blade, or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But dudes, you know, this Impinda, the Demco mid-techs are the shit, right? Those things are the shit. I actually haven't played with one. but I sure wouldn't mind it. That would be something that I probably would need to see in person, personally, just because I don't know. I'm not as not just not totally super attracted to it. I mean, you guys have seen the shit that I'm buying these days. It's like fucking all Chris Reeve knives, and that's just because I guess it's just my jam, you know. Like I do really like the Shiragoros. I think the Shiragoros are probably the best looking knives, but um, I don't know. Paying $700 for a fucking base model Shirogorov, and then what does it really get you? You know, something a little bit different. I don't know. I just don't see the value in it. All things considered, I know it's there, but it's that the value of like once you really start pushing up like above the five, six, $700. Oh fuck yeah, absolutely. Those PDWs are the shit. I mean, like, why do they leave the blast with the satin finish handles? That's a good question. Maybe it's because when they're like sanding the polishing and they're doing it, the lock bar's already been sprung over, so it's actually the lock bar's like flex to the inside. Maybe they can't. It would leave tool marks on it if they were to try to do all this finishing before finishing the machining or something like that. So it's probably all completely finished. The lock bar is cut out. It's sprung over, or even if it's not sprung over, if they take this and they sand it to make this shiny, maybe it just would be not uniform because the lock bar would be like, you know, not pressing against the media or whatever. The chamois are the shit. Those chamois are the shit. I actually had who's the other um, South African maker that was really, really hot shit for a minute there. I can't fucking remember his name. I had one of his customs that was in my lull between doing videos. Man, I actually had a bunch of fucking great knives in that time. I can't remember his name. It was the fucking, damn it, I can't remember his name, but he made cool front flippers too. Um, the Burger, that's right. Fucking nailed it, Mark P. Burger, yeah, Trevor Burger. I had a Burger Excalibur, yeah. Sweet fucking knife. But it was a little, the fit and finish wasn't necessarily there. It was sexy on the exterior, but once you took it down, it was like, not the best. And I had the really cool one. They came with the full kit that had like Weehaw, really nice tools and everything. But that's right, Trevor Burger. God damn. But yeah, I think we all know where we're coming from here. Where old Uncle Archman's coming from here. But man, I really appreciate you guys all joining in on this on your Friday night. And I figured out. So I made the Palabra tu Madre stickers. If you just want to like look at my Patreon, you'll see I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with that Patreon. As a matter of fact, I think it's a stupid thing because I didn't even realize what it was. It's a membership thing. But my wife made these really cool Palabra tu Madre stickers with like a little kind of a lady like in the middle that are really cool. I'm gonna figure out a way to get those to you guys in the very near future. She just turned it into a vector image like a couple days ago, so it's actually a sweet like perfect circle now. But yeah, so Palabra tu Madre, guys. Thanks for joining me. Have a great weekend. I'm going to try to bang out my elk packing video this weekend as well. Link on my Instagram. My Instagram is at Archmang, ARCHMANG. And I'll try to put links on just everything, kind of cross-reference everything. But again, Palabra tu Madre, you guys. Look forward to another video, hopefully tomorrow night, maybe. We'll see, maybe Sunday night, maybe Monday night. Good night, everybody.